I can make as many people as possible co-hosts. They can record it, because I don't think I have storage on the iCloud after the previous meeting. So who do you want me to make a co-host who can record from their own machines?
Right. Yeah, David. Yes, David.
Okay. All right. I'll make David S. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, David, your co-host, and I also want you to keep an eye on the people who are coming in, please. I can even make somebody else as well. Who else? David, who else can help you?
My brother's in there as well.
Yeah, there is somebody, I think somebody has two devices connected and we are getting some sort of echoes. So, okay.
Yeah, there's Jay.
Jay, is this Jay, yeah? Yeah, okay. I got him. Okay, he's a co-host as well now. And also Elder Peterson is a co-host. So over to you guys. And I'm going to give you the YouTube link in the chat. So can know what it is. Bear with me 1 second. Let me get the chat up. I think if you have some device that is on vibrate and you are off mute, then it's going to interrupt the meeting. All right. Okay. Over to you guys.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Sabbath program. I'd like to say hello to any visitors that are with us. You're welcome. These programs expand every single week, every single Sabbath. We have people from all over the world that come and join us. People from the UK as the hosts, people from America, people from back home, Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, and people all over Canada. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the Sabbath. This Sabbath will be a special guest. She spoke to us before, and it will be on mental health and our well-being. This is a crucial time that we have here with COVID, and this topic is vast and it's being spoken up and down the country and worldwide. So we would like to move on to the next. And we'll have people that will be giving testimonies of their experiences during lockdown and a Q&A, but that will come later on in the program. So we would like to move on to the next part of the program. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, so there'll be an opening prayer that I'll do myself. And so let's pray, guys. Dear Lord, thank you for this day that you've given us. Thank you for us gathering together from all over the world to praise you on this Sabbath day, Lord. As we tackle this topic, I ask that you open our minds, open our ears, so we may learn something from this, Lord, and we can use it in our everyday life. In your holy name, amen. As we are about to start, if one of you can, or all of you actually, invite one friend. I think there's a poster that we posted all over WhatsApp. If you can just forward that to just one friend, and then we can get this going so we can get a larger target audience, because this is a very key subject that we would like everyone to be informed about. Thank you.
Right, can you hear me? Yes. You can hear me. I'm very happy to see everyone coming. See you tuning on. I just want, as David has said, to welcome everyone who has come from far and wide to join us. Hopefully others will join in. But I'm also very grateful to Mrs. Matoya, who has not been, this is not the first time she's been here before. You have been very helpful to us. The presentation you did last time was good, but this time around, we have mental health and well-being, but then your mental health and relationships. And as you and Elvis help to bring up this important topic, I want to introduce Elvis. Elvis is Mrs. Matoya's son. He's the first son. So you will see him today, hopefully. And Elvis is part of the presentation today. Ruth, as you might have known and have seen in what we have posted on the poster, she is a counseling psychologist, a director, Healing Talk Counseling Services based in Kampala, Uganda. Ruth is a consultant with vast experience in family, child and trauma-related issues, and has worked internationally as a staff resilience counselor for organizations. Ruth is dedicated to service for Jesus, loves to work with the young people. She has also, she works with young adults, children, and families. She's a member of Mount Olive SDA Church in Kampala, and her life motto is to be a blessing to all she meets. Ruth is married to Engineer Matoya, who is also an elder in Mount Olives, and they have 3 children, grown-up children. What you will see, maybe one of them is part of us here, Jewel, and Elvis is. You will see him shortly, and there is also a young man who might appear there in the presentation, but is at the background supporting both the mother and the brother. So Ruth, we are very, very proud of you. We are very happy to have you, and we hopefully when time comes for you to do up this presentation, you'll be very much welcome. I was expecting to have someone to give a special item, but I have not seen the person. Is there anyone out there who would like to give us a special song? Play the hymn book from somewhere. This is a song so that we can tune in before the presentation. Sam, man, thank you very much. Sam,
you're welcome. Happy Sabbath.
Sam, just before you begin, sorry, people are requesting for the link of the YouTube. Does anyone have the link? Oh, okay, there's the link.
It is in the chat. It is in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I've just seen it.
Make sure you submit people.
Okay. The song I'm going to sing is a hymnal. It's a hymn. He hideth my soul. Feel free to sing along. Savior is Jesus, my Lord, a wonderful Savior to me. He hideth my soul in the cleft of the rock, that shadows the dry thirsty land. He hideth my life in the depths of his love, and covers me there with his hand, and covers me there with his hand. A wonderful Savior is Jesus my Lord. He taketh my burden away. He holdeth me up, and I shall not be moved. He giveth me strength as I take. He hideth my soul in the cleft of the rock, that shadows a dry, thirsty land. He hideth my life in the depths of his love, and covers me there with his hand, and covers me there with his hand. When clothed in his brightness, transported I rise to meet him in clouds of the sky. His perfect salvation, his wonderful love, I'll shout with the millions on high. He hideth my soul in the cleft of the rock, that shadows of dry, thirsty land. He hideth my life in the depths of his love, and covers me there with his hand, and covers me there with his hand. Amen. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Amen, amen.
Amen.
Amen, amen.
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 Hi. So now we would like Auntie. Now is your time. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. This evening here, and I am very, very happy to once more talk to young people who are at the bottom of my heart, or top of my heart, I would say. But I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to discuss matters mental health. So today we are going to talk about mental health, our well-being, and our relationships. I do not want to limit us to just relationships of a male-female, but your relationships with family, with friends, at the workplace. This lockdown has intervened a lot in our mental health well-being. And so we have had a lot of things going on in life, and most of the time people talk about physical well-being, social well-being, emotional well-being, and very few people speak about the mental health well-being, and then how it impacts us in every aspect of our life. So when we talk about mental health, what do we mean? What is it? What is mental health? And we have several people defining what mental health is. And I will look at the body. The world body says that the World Health Organization states that it is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes their own abilities. They can cope with normal stressors of life. They work productively and fruitfully, and a person is able to contribute to their community. Look at those. You have to realize your own ability. You have to cope with the normal stressors. Of course, there are some abnormal stressors of life. You have to work productively. When people don't work productively, we know that there is something that is interfering with their well-being mentally, and fruitfully. Whatever you do must bear fruit, and we must see it. And then you are able to contribute to your community, to your family, to your friendships, if you are healthy mentally. Mental health includes the emotional, the social, the psychological, and emotional well-being, which affects how we think, how we feel, and we make choices. So the first definition talks about what you can do, but the next part of the definition deals with how you feel about yourself. I want to say that mental health is not a mental illness, you know. So mental health is not the same as mental illness. So what is mental illness? A healthy mental condition which involves changes in thinking, behavior, and decision making, in the emotional expression and mood, which interferes with your ability to function adaptively with yourself, at work, family, and other relationships. So mental illness is characterized but not limited to so many of the following things. Examples which include explosive anger. It could be an indication of mental illness. Depression, okay, suicidal thoughts, mood swings, other medical terms like schizophrenia, psychosis, self-neglect, attention deficits, drug abuse, PTSD, that is post-traumatic stress disorders, anxiety. COVID has come with a lot of anxieties, panic attacks, personality disorders. There are so many things we can say can describe mental illness. So mental health is the system of the mind needs to be kept healthy. You know, most of the time, people deal with a lot of physical health, but also the mind can get sick. And you don't have to address or to speak incoherently for you to be mentally sick. You will be depressed and sad and thinking bad about yourself. That means that your mental health has been affected in one way or another. So let's talk about the components of mental health. Mental health has many components. First of all, it is spiritual. When confronted with the brokenness of ourselves and our sin, the conviction is overwhelming and it gives us feelings of grief. You remember David and Bathsheba? Once he remembered and was convicted of his sin, he went into a state of disturbed mental health. He put on sackcloth, would not eat, was sad, and all that. Then you remember Judas? Judas was a friend of Jesus. He genuinely thought Jesus was the Savior and should have delivered them from a lot of things. But he let his sin take control of him. And when he had nothing more to do after he had sinned, the only thing he thought about was suicide. And he went on and hanged himself. That means that his mental health was affected. You also remember Peter at the trial of Jesus. When he denied Jesus, you know what he did? At the end of it, when he was convicted of his sin, do you know he wept? Actually, they say he wept. So that guilt and brokenness which confronts us can affect our mental health. So mental health can be spiritual. Mental health can be also physical. And it can be brought on when you are physically challenged by illness and hunger, disability, isolation, rejection. And you can see that even with the COVID-19, we are being isolated. If you get sick, you will be really rejected. People wouldn't want to come near you. When you are sick in hospital, you are not allowed visitors. Nobody comes to you. So that is the physical rejection. And if you remember in the Bible, Job, he was physically depressed, sick. It affected his way of thinking, and he said everything he would say because he was physically afflicted. Elijah was rejected. He ran away. He lived in isolation, only speaking to a bird that brought him food until the still small voice came to him. Jonah, when he was rejected, he went deep and down and down. I would love you to visit those. Jeremiah was thrown into a well. And you can know, when I was in school, we used to call Jeremiah the weeping prophet because he was in physical pain, physical isolation, being discriminated against, laughed at, and all that. Mental health can also be influenced by the social life. So influenced through discrimination, poverty, cultural norms, financial scarcity, religious practices. So it can also be affect all of us in one way or another. So I want us to look at this bonus point that too often people focus on mental illness when they discuss mental health. However, your mental health is much more than depression, anxiety, or a bipolar disorder diagnosis. It is your overall emotional and mental state and well-being, which includes both positive and negative elements. In many circumstances, positive mental health factors such as resiliency, curiosity, and self-worth can help you cope with adversity and mental illness. I would also like to say, just as your physical health needs care, your mental health also requires regular attendance and regular care. Please note that. When we nurture our mental health, we handle stress more effectively, we recover from setbacks more quickly, we sleep better, and physically heal more quickly. In many ways, mental health is the key to a healthier, happier existence in your relationship. So if you're going into a relationship and you are not mentally healthy, there are high chances that your relationship will be very shaky. And if you choose to go on deeper, you will experience a lot of challenges. At this point, my son Elvis is one of the millennials, and he has lived among many communities. He has had the opportunity to look around and see what is going on with his fellow youth. I would like him to say something about you millennials and your mental health. Elvis, please come on.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sabbath. I hope you're doing great. Does everyone hear me? Just wave if you do, or just somebody say yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm an economist by profession. And so when I approach mental health, I look at things in terms of numbers. So I wrote down a couple of things right here that I would like to share with everyone. Give me a second. All right, there we are. So as millennials, we're facing a critical point in our lives where mental health is more ever present, it's more visible, it's not something that's out of this world for us. I think it's possible to say with no shots fired that our parents probably ignored this part of their lives because they had bigger things going on, air quotes, bigger things. But this is not something that we have the luxury of ignoring anymore because it's an existential crisis that our generation is facing. Facts say, based on research done by American University in 2017, that 20% of us are depressed. And this is only one mental illness that we're highlighting. Significant number of us have anxiety. I'm sure every one of us, if not, another person, has knowledge of somebody who has bipolar disorder. Mental health is no longer as alien as it used to be. It's not the crazy man that's crossing the road or the dude from the asylum videos. It's something that we live with every day. Among the numerous contributors to this, there's one common factor. FOMO is the fear of missing out, which has been contributed to by social media. 88% of us are on social media, some kind of social media. And our interaction with that social media has subconsciously caused us to be more connected, yet more disconnected than we have ever been before. I'd like to think that a lot of the community that we're communicating with today is Black. And we already mentioned that 20% of us as millennials are depressed. But then out of that 20%, 1 in 5 of those 20% are Black people. Remember, there are multiple races out here. So as Black people living in places where we happen to be minorities, 20% of us are more likely to experience mental health conditions in comparison to our friends or family who are of other races. But, like, the issue doesn't end there, In this survey, in this study that was conducted, that out of all those, only 25% of us are willing to seek out help, which is concerning because despite the fact that we live in communal societies, African societies are typically communal, which means that, we all have, we all believe that we are collectively responsible for each other's well-being. But then, a lot of times we confuse that with, if I have a problem, a mental health problem, if I have anxiety, I'll probably talk to Auntie Grace and she'll fix the anxiety, which, she can, but, she's not a professional. So out of that 25% of us, I wish that group of people were willing to reach out and publicize this more in order for us to speak out and seek professional help as opposed to familiar. Yeah, that's the word, professional, not familiar. There are upsides to this though. In the survey, it said that 85% said that they had no problems making friends or working with someone who had mental illness. So we may have issues as individuals, but we are comfortable reaching out or helping out people who have mental health issues. In the same survey, it said that 60% would date someone with mental illness. So the stigma is not, only 40% are entirely uncomfortable with that. And granted, there's a large spectrum of mental health illnesses, but then 60% of us are willing to, take that person out on a date. However, while less than half would be willing to admit to their friends, it's great to know that 70% of us millennials would be comfortable visiting a counselor or therapist. So if 70% of us are willing to do so, why is the Black populace, this is for you to ponder on, why is the Black populace only why is only 25% of the Black populace only willing to see a therapist? Is it a financial issue? Because I know in the United States, you got to pay out of pocket. But then, if you have insurance or if you have resources at your local church, your local community, your university, or whichever type of community that you have to support you, to visit a therapist, why aren't you utilizing that? You needn't to be in an extreme situation for you to reach out to somebody and, try and let them help you think through what you're experiencing. more than 50% of the respondents of this survey also mentioned that they would vote for someone with a mental illness. So these are contentious times. You know, there are a lot of elections going on globally, and it's positive that we are willing to overlook mental health illness as an impediment to voting somebody. But then another thing that speaks volumes about our generation is that 75% of us are open to discussing mental health topics. And whether you're an ally or a person who's experiencing mental health illness, it's something that we cannot avoid in 2020 going forward. So how about we work towards making that 75% 100%? You know, talk to your parents about it, talk to your grandparents about it, destigmatize this thing that is ever present in our lives. Let's make mental health a comfortable topic to have around the dinner table. Over to you, Mom. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you very much, Elvis. And I'm glad he is able to say that millennials are open to talking about mental health issues. So now that we have understood this, I want to say that at some point I'm going to open up the discussion. I have the questions, I'm going to project them so that you start answering them in the chat box, and then the person that is coordinating, please, you read it for us. So I want to talk about the characteristics of a healthy relationship. Now that we understand mental relationship, what are mental health? Let's talk about a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship has honesty, honest accountability. Remember, we are not limiting ourselves to the intimate relationships only, the male-female in our setting, but even the ones that with your siblings, with your parents, with each other. So we are an open relationships, open accountability, open communication, fairness and negotiation. Those are big characteristics. I'm giving them big names, but we do not have time to go through all those. Maybe there will be discussions for another time. Economic partnerships. Most relationships these days thrive on economic partnerships, even among siblings, even children and parents, and even among friends. So shared responsibilities, and we wrote it twice, shared responsibilities, and I think I could say roles. Trust and support. Our relationships need that to stay healthy. There is intimacy, depending on the kind of relationship that you have. There is one core thing, respect. Healthy relationships have respect. Whether it is from the old to the young and the young to the old, there is that respect. And then there is trust, and it is being done a second time. And then there is high personal integrity. So when a person is in a healthy relationship, they do not only take care of their relationship, they take care of themselves, meaning that you carry yourself in a way that you have your high personal integrity for you to have a good relationships. So I cannot stop at just healthy relationships. Let me look at the characteristics of unhealthy relationships. Unhealthy relationships feel like you are an account that is constantly being withdrawn from rather than being deposited into. Do you feel like that with your family? Do you feel like that with your friends who you go out with, and every time you are the account being withdrawn from, not just monetarily, but emotionally and socially, everything is lying on you? The relationship lacks trust. The relationship has poor communication, whereby there are lots of bad communication that goes on between the people. Unhealthy relationships neglect one another's physical and emotional needs. They are usually selfish. They think about themselves alone. They also have constant clashing of values. You know, you come out with certain values, and eventually you find out that your values are all the time being clashed. Okay, unhealthy relationships also have anger, irritability. People use anger to get what they want. You know, when they have a tantrum, everybody shakes and gives them what they want. You know, that is an unhealthy relationship. One way, whenever you want anything, everybody has been shaken to give it to you. But when people want something from you, you don't have anything to give, or you run away. That is an unhealthy relationship characteristic. And then in an unhealthy relationship, you always feel judged by the people you are with. And then there is consistent unreliability. You know, you cannot depend upon the person to have your back when you need them. You cannot depend upon them. There is no dependability at all. That is an unhealthy relationship. Continuous disrespect for you as a person, disrespect for things that you value, and disrespect for anything about you. So many people thrive in unhealthy relationship because it boils to one thing: selfishness. People think about themselves. So could it be that there is a mental health issue when it comes to unhealthy relationships? Then there is also self-betrayal in unhealthy relationships. So as you think about other people who are bringing in the unhealthy relationship characteristics, what about yourself? There is what I call self-betrayal, where you swear that it is over, but after a few minutes, you go back against your better judgment. It can be even your own sibling. You swear, this is it. I am not going to be adopting sibling anymore. But after 1 week or 2 days, you begin to tell yourself against your better judgment to go back into that kind of relationship. And then most unhealthy relationships, in most of them, there is lack of development in any direction. You don't develop spiritually, you don't develop emotionally, you don't develop physically in any way. Actually, if anything, you emaciate. Unhealthy relationship, you don't develop even financially. It's very difficult because you have no partnerships with others. Your partner undermines anything that you do. I am limiting myself to a partner, but it can be anybody else. Sometimes even a parent can undermine what you do. But we are seeing that at behind all this is something that has to do with how we take care of our mental health. Injured mental health systems usually bring up a lot of other problems. So I want us to have a small discussion. Look at that question. What do you struggle with as first generation children of immigrants, or millennials, as first generation children of immigrants, as generation Z, millennials? What is it that you are struggling with right now? And keep them coming in the chat box, okay? What are your thoughts about mental health intervention? And mental health intervention can be therapy, medication, clinical treatment centers, rehabilitation centers. What are your thoughts? Let's see in the chat. Please, the coordinator, please read them out. Let's answer those first two questions. And we want to do that. Okay, we will answer those questions in the chat box. I would like to ask Elvis to type them in the chat box, and then you will answer them. Okay. I would like that for those of you that wouldn't want to have your answers read and attributed to you, please put them in the chat privately to me. I'll read them at the end of the presentation. Someone is saying that they are struggling with time management, and time management can be a mental health issue. Okay. Please feel free. Somebody saying, Grace, you can even say something. Someone is struggling with cultural balance. Another question I'm putting across is, what are your thoughts about living in an individualistic society when your family observes communal society? Let me explain this. For you out there in the diaspora, your parents came in with this social Africanism, whereby everybody passes by your home. You have to send money back home. There is a lot of togetherness in doing things. Someone calls that Ubuntu or something like that. But when you come into the communities where you are, you find out that nobody cares about anybody out there. What are your thoughts about living in such an individualistic society? Are you torn about it? Someone said they are struggling with the cultural balance. That is true. How does mental health present among your peers? That's a very important question. How does mental health present among your peers? How do your peers navigate mental health issues? Those are questions I'm going to talk about to answer after this, okay? And what are the avenues available at church to support your mental health challenges? Remember that there are other areas, but at church, do we have anything of that sort? I'm going to request the host to read out the answers that they have got right now. Let me check my private messages.
Yeah. Hello, I've got some answers. I wrote down here, how does mental health present? I put down that sometimes it shows as anxiety or change behavior. I think people are just writing down things. So time management, I think that therapy, somebody said, I think that therapy is very helpful because you can get a lot of great counseling. There's a culture balance, somebody said here, I think that's one of the questions. Somebody else said presenting is in terms of struggling to fit in and be like others, in terms of traveling to many countries and going on holidays despite limited resources. Somebody said here, mental health intervention should be normalized, like going to the GP. The stigma is slowly being raised, but still holds a lot for people. Question 1, somebody put anxiety creating and hypervigilant criticism about myself. That's true, Rose. Question 2, they wrote as well, I believe it is important to seek professional help, but the gossip culture and stigma so we're getting a lot from the stigma culture. And someone said for question 3, individualistic society is currently the norm in big cities. It makes even neighbors find it hard to say hi to each other. Having grown up in the communal society, the changes is hard.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Diana, you can read.
Yeah, we have another one. Struggling to feel accepted despite being way different from the majority in today's world. So there's some people who want to be individualistic, want to be an individual, but they're struggling to find acceptance. Mental health interventions is more effective as therapy, in my opinion. other options don't seem to be holistic, I find.
Okay, I see another where we've had university students committing suicide. How can this be prevented? What is causing this? I'm going to discuss that. I have noticed that hopelessness is a mental state, and it has to do with mental health. When students don't get the support that they need, remember that individualistic culture that you have been born into as people that live abroad, where nobody says hi to any other, nobody asks you whether you're fine today, and you look around and you have no support system, then you feel so hopeless and feel like the best thing is you're better off dead. And so a lot of young people are committing suicide. And I noticed that in the last, in Uganda alone, yesterday I was in a conference where they said that the suicide cases during COVID-19 went up 15% times compared to the norm. So COVID-19 is a trigger, but we are noticing that young people do not have support systems, and they have not been helped to have support systems or even know where to go so that they can have a lot of help. So for us to prevent suicide, we need to have a network of people that can support us when we are feeling low, who can always look out for us. It's when people don't see any hope that they go into suicide. Okay. Anything from Diana, from your end?
Let me have a look. I can see there's 3. The last question is quite interesting and hard to answer because I believe there is a lack of avenues available at church because of the stigma and gossip culture. I think we are getting a lot about the stigma and gossip, and hopefully as we have this discussion more, we won't have that stigma and that we can change that culture. Okay, let's see. I feel like church is just like the whole society is not doing anything to help with mental health. So some people are feeling unsatisfied with how the church is attacking the issue. A lot of people saying, thank you for the session. When is a mental illness tolerable in a relationship and when is it not? Mental health issue, that's one question that somebody had for you. Mental health issues have increased during the COVID times. Why? Somebody's asked as well. But this one here about when is a mental health illness tolerable in a relationship and when is it not? I don't know if that's coming towards more of your presentation, but that's
Yes.
the question there.
Okay, I think we are going to talk about why there are mental health issues increasing during the COVID-19 times. We'll discuss that later, but I would address this immediately because it has to do with the relationships. Mental health illnesses are as normal as other illnesses in life, and when somebody is going through medication and treatment, they can live with you. It is only not tolerable when your life is in danger and you don't have the capacity to support yourself and to support the mentally ill person. In that case, the mentally ill person should be taken to the right places for help, because it is in your own good interest and it is in the interest of the person. So if the mental illness is endangering your life and has totally beaten your ability to handle them, then the sick person should be treated like a sick person, taken for treatment so that they can become better people. Now, the discussion has just started. I want us to have the discussion, and later on we are going to discuss about what the church can do and other recommendations being made. So let's go back to someone has discussed about asked about why are the mental health issues are increasing during COVID-19. I think there are some obvious things that have made it go higher. Number one, there is a lot of depression because what was distracting the mental health of many people was work. People can replace their mental instability with work. They distract their thinking by working, by going away and being occupied all the time. Now, many people have been laid off and they are not going to work. So they have been thrown back to their lowest levels. And so they will definitely slide into areas of depression. Their manic episodes can come up and so forth. And also, the other mental health issues can come up because of isolation. Some people thrive because we are human beings, we love being and seeing other human beings, even if we don't talk with them. So let's imagine you've been locked up in your house, you don't have to go to the shop, you don't have to greet people. And so the world is at your hands and you are thinking and trying to get your mind occupied with your little space and your time. So it will trigger out that. There have been many deaths, many anxieties going up. All of us are anxious right now. You go out, you buy something, you come back, you're cleaning your hands 3-4 times because you don't know who gave you the money or who touched your card and so forth. Those anxieties are mental health destabilizing triggers. So the issues of mental health are increasing during this time because we are having a little more time on our hands that helps us to even notice that they were there. Then there are frustrations that are taking place. There is loneliness that is also taking place. So sometimes you don't even have to talk to people, but walk out and see human beings walking around. One who is dancing on the street talking, it helps you to stay sane. But being alone, you will begin to hear sounds and noises that probably are not there. Yeah. Okay. Somebody is asking also, how do you handle mental health issues when you are the minor in a relationship? Say if the parent is the one with the mental health issue. This is a difficult thing because when parents have got mental health issues, their families suffer. Their children suffer because they can be very, very irrational in the way they do things. They can be brutal in the way they do things. They can be nasty, narcissistic in the way they do things. If you are the minor in such a relationship, one good thing is, please be aware that your parents are not well. So some of the things they are doing, they may not even be self-aware that they are hurting you in one way or another. And if possible, seek out other mentorship and nurturing from other people who are around you. There are always great people around you, especially if I'm talking to many of the African people. Go out and talk to other people and say, I need this, you miss this, see where you have some lack, and be happy to be helped and mentored by other people. And another thing you would do is bring up the issue with somebody that you think your parents trust and you think you trust. Go with the evidence that you have. Probably that person might help. And they will be able to be empathic with you when they are working with you. I am not sure. There is a lot of information about what people have said about the church being a gossip mill, a place where people stigmatize you and all that. I want to say this. The church is as ignorant as many other people are. It is at church that people don't know that there are very many mentally sick people in one way or another. So they work from a position of ignorance. That's why they have stigma. That's why they gossip, because they cannot even identify the signs and symptoms of mental mental instability. So they will gossip instead of that. So I know you can fear going to church, but I think it is time now with the elders in the house to educate the elder people in the church about mental health, so that instead of gossip, there should be a support system, a good support system. Social services tend to have some support systems to help children that think their parents could be mentally unwell. If there are good social services where you stay, I'm referring to people in the UK, people in Canada, people in the US right now. Your social services are better than the social services we have in Africa. So in Africa, we have relatives, we have friends who we can always have as mentors. Out there might not be many people, but there are dependable social services. Maybe it is time to say that you suspect your parent could be having an issue and should be helped, not because they are bad, but you think they should be helped. So somebody is asking a great question. To add on the person's question, how can we support a parent who may be unaware, negligence of a specific mental health illness? Okay. Ross, thank you very much for asking that question. So, forum like this, you can talk about certain symptoms and signs of mental illness. Have that as a discussion at church. When there is a person that behaves and thinks a certain way, they can identify themselves and begin to ask questions whether they are okay and can go for treatment. If they think, if they don't notice it, it could be something, if you are a respectable member of the society, not the Rumamonga mill, to go and talk to the person or send somebody that has got trespass allowance on that person's life, so that they can speak to them and hear what they have to say. Do not expect a person that is mentally unstable to accept, because probably they have lived with it for the rest of their lives and they have been productive. We have so many mentally sick people who are very productive, but that doesn't take away the problem that they are mentally challenged in one way or another. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Somebody can raise their hands and give us their insight on those questions. Okay. All right. If there isn't, then I am going to go on and look at how can the church help. I would say that mental health is an integral part of our lives as human beings. If we are affected in one way or another, it is not a shameful thing that should be hidden. Many people want to hide, want to say, they want to say certain things while quoting them very well. The church should be a place of safety, and I am sorry on behalf of many of our church people that it should be a place of safety, support, and leverage for professional knowledge on the issue. So if there are church members that have anything to do with mental health, it is time to start teaching the church members about this, because there is more anxiety, there is less support, there is more awareness, you know, of mental health challenges in life. And if the church members were sensitized, then there could be a space for safety and support. Members should be available if needed to shoulder and encourage the affected. Young people, remember that you are also members. Therefore, you must be available for your friends, if you are needed, and give them a shoulder and to encourage them if their parents are not mentally okay, if the people themselves are mentally challenged in one way or another. If a team of young people in every church was aware that one of their age mates is not very okay in the way they treat themselves and treat others, then church members, even young people, should be encouraged to be a shoulder to lean on by the people that are mentally challenged. Another is that members should be educated, should be empathic, and work towards destigmatizing mental health challenges. Let's imagine you are in that church where there is a child that probably behaves funny during church service. What happens if they come to touch you? Do you move away? Do you talk to them? Or do you take them to the right place? Because your behavior can either stigmatize or destigmatize. So how do you improve your relationship while prioritizing mental health? And I have my many boxes. So I want you to know that you need to understand that every relationship is unique, and so are the solutions. So while you are in your relationship, I am assuming and thinking below this is that every relationship at one time or another will experience some mental health challenge. People will be sad, they will be angry, they will be maybe depressed, people will lose jobs, people will be scared of going to work because of what is going on. So how do you improve your relationship while you're prioritizing your mental health? Understand that your relationship is unique, your family is unique, and the solutions for your family are unique. You don't just cut and paste from other places. Choose your battles wisely. If you have misunderstandings, there are things that you don't have to fight about, and there are things that you have the capacity to take them on and try to resolve them. If there are things that you can't resolve in your relationship, it's very difficult for you to keep doing the same thing and not getting the same results. So understand that there are things you can do and there are things you can't do in your relationship. It will help your mental health to settle. But if you feel like fighting on and on, people may never notice the difference, whether you are mentally healthy or not. Always prioritize on working on your family relationships. Remember that after all has failed, it's the only one you will go back to. They say that, when a madman walks naked, it is the kinsmen that get ashamed. So work on your family relationships. They are supposed to be safe, even if they are mentally unhealthy. They will be your support system more than any other. Invest in your relationship. If you want a mentally healthy relationship, you must invest in it as a young person. Be it with your siblings, be it with your parents. Children hardly invest in their relationship with their parents. They are always withdrawing from their parents' account, but they rarely put in, they rarely debit their parents' accounts. But invest in your relationships. Make time to greet your parents, to see them, make time with your siblings, make time with your friends, your classmates, and all that. Have time to go out. Sometimes invest even money in your relationships and invest the truth. Most relationships live lies. They live a big lie. So invest the truth. Please don't go and project yourself as such a person when you are not real. Being real makes your relationship mentally healthy. Understand your significant other's limitations. Don't force them to be like you. Sometimes you want your brother, your sister, or your boyfriend or girlfriend to be almost like you. No, understand that they have their limitations and allow them to have those limitations. They can never be as effective as you. Try to always work on your weaknesses. you as a person, because sometimes your weaknesses could be an indication of your mental health. So if you work on them, you might have better ways to survive mental health challenges. Always listen to yourself and to others. I want to emphasize this. Listen to yourself. When you are tired, please take a break, because some of the mental health challenges I brought out because of overdoing things in your life. Listen to yourself when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you think you are angry, when you think you are sad. Listen to all those, and also listen to that in many other people. Then you'll be able to find out what to do. If you feel overwhelmed mentally, seek help and diagnosis. Make sure that you seek help. Many people attribute mental instability or mental challenges to negativity and a lot of stigma, but it is nothing to be ashamed of if you can be treated as well physically as you can be treated mentally. Resolve conflict amicably. You know, lack of forgiveness when there is conflict leads to many people being mentally unstable. You lack trust. You don't want to invest in another relationship because the other one failed, because your father was not very good or your mother was not very good. You hate all women, you hate all men, because you did not resolve that conflict with yourself and with others amicably. Forgive. Give each other personal space when it is necessary. It's not important that when you are relating with people, even with your family, you are always together. No, you will rub each other wrongly. One of the reasons there is a lot of mental health issues during COVID-19 is because people are sharing a little space together and they are rubbing each other the wrong way. So what does the Bible say about mental health? We began by seeing a lot of examples of people in the Bible who had mental health challenges, and all the time they called upon God, and God came through for them. Those who stayed hopeless went the hopeless way. You know, it is not, it is a painful thing to say that there was suicide. You remember Saul in the Bible, when he noticed that the war had been lost and he had sinned against God, he almost, I would say, he committed suicide. Why? Because he reached a point of no return. But what does the Bible say? When you think there is a lot of mental health challenges, I will read for you the book of Matthew 6:34. It says, therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow. Yeah, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Okay, sufficient for the day is its own trouble. So mental health, anxiety is one of that. Do not be anxious about tomorrow. And that is the chapter that says, you know, look at the sparrows. God feeds them. What shall we eat? What shall we drink? God takes care of that. He knows that you have those anxieties. Put them before you, you know. The book of Philippians 4, verse 6 and 7 says, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your request be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. That is a very big promise from the Bible, that God can give you peace that surpasses understanding. That is a very big promise. So do not be anxious. Go to God in depression. Go to God in anxiety. Go to God in sadness and place him before that. Place yourself before him. Sometimes it doesn't look like he's answering, but he can give you peace in your heart that surpasses understanding. Isaiah 41 verse 10. Okay? Isaiah 41 verse 10. Oh, that is the one I read. It says this, fear not. Most mental issues come because we have a lot of fears. Fear not, for I am with you. There is one important thing, that God is always with us, but sometimes we don't feel his presence. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. That's another promise. Whenever there is mental health challenges, God is with you and he will support you. You know, we are going to rally the medicine, the hospital, the social support, the mentorship programs, but more than anything else, let us ask God, who promises to be with us whether we are sick or not. And he promises that he will withhold us with his righteous right hand. Now, I want to say that wherever you want to go, those of you that are in those countries, I am imagining that, not imagining, I can see many people online from the United Kingdom. When you think you have mental health challenges, you can call 111. If you are in France, that is the number. In Kenya, that is the number. I hope that people know this. The United States, you can call that number, okay? In Rwanda, there is the Psychology Society, and that is the number. And in Uganda, you can call me. I will refer you to someone else that will help, or refer you to a medical center that will help you. So thank you very, very much. I would want to stop sharing and open the space for discussion, because we have testimonies from people that will be able to help us understand how they have been navigating the mental health issues during this lockdown. And so I would like to call our participants to talk about that. Thank you very much. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. As we wait, I want to read some of the things that have been talked about. Okay.
Thank you very much for the questions so far. We'll go into the Q&A session as we continue to think about the testimonies that will come through. So we've got some questions here. So what we can do is you can use the chat to ask questions, or you can raise your hand and you can ask the questions directly on here, if you prefer. So we've got some questions in regards to the mental state. So the first question is, how does one know if they have mental health issues? What should I do to help my friend? I think we've answered that one. What does it mean to be sectioned? What is the personality disorder? Is it also mental issues? So we can maybe answer those questions first.
Okay. There are many questions. How do you know if you have a mental health issue? What should I do to help my friend? What does it mean to be sectioned? What is a personal disorder? Is it also mental illness? Okay, I'm sure those are questions that are going through that. So how do you know if you have mental health challenges? I would like to say that. Normally, you will notice that if you have a mental health challenges, many people find you different. And you find that you have things about you that are not like other people, yeah? And therefore, you will also ask whether it is something wrong with you or it's something wrong with all the other people except you. Another thing is you might be having strong mood swings. One day you are happy, and there are days you just can't lift your head up from your blanket. There are days when you think in absolute terms. For example, you are going out and you say, what if I have an accident? So you build that small hill, let's say a mound, into a big hill, and you say, oh, there's going to be an accident, people will knock me. You know, you haven't even walked out of your bedroom, but you're already thinking about something that you haven't seen. You perceive that things are so hard. So when you find that you are overeating, undereating, anxious, fighting, losing your temper, being unable to control most of the impulses that we are supposed to control. You know, I would go on and on. Please, you are, most of you are millennials. You can always Google and find out your mental, you find out the signs and symptoms of unstable mental health, okay? What does it mean to be sectioned? What is it? What is a personality disorder? Is it also a mental illness? A personality disorder, it is disorder, meaning your mind is not in order. And when your mind is not in order, then it is a mental challenge. It is a mental illness, we would say. Most of the illnesses can be helped with medical care. Good psychiatric hospitals now have ways in which they can take care of most people and keep them in a stable condition. So when you are put aside and left alone, you feel rejected, then it means that you have, sorry, you are being left out of many other people. So a personality disorder is, we have different personality disorder, is when you don't behave like any other normal person. We have types of personality disorders. There are narcissistic people. You'll excuse me. Anyone willing to talk can talk for a minute as I sort out myself here.
Yeah, I can jump in maybe as Mrs. Matoya getting herself some water. Yeah, the question of personality disorder, these are people, as she has correctly said, who are narcissistic in behavior. They have extremely bad behavior, uncontrollable behavior. They could be controllers. They could be people who suspect others. There could be people who are completely, the way they behave is completely different from the normal person. And in fact, like in this country, the United Kingdom here, we have sections of personality disorder as a mental illness disorder, sort of some kind. And these are people who sometimes can kill, can manipulate, they behave is completely bizarre, different, very different. They talk too much, but the way they behave, the way they do things is completely very bad, really bad compared to, they can plan, they can kill. You can find somebody has killed his wife or his child or somebody, and yet when you look at them, you can confuse them from being mad to being bad. They are bad people. So they might not be running around holding things. Mama, you're back. I can leave you that. So those are personality disorders. These are very, very bad disorders. And
thank you.
Deal with a personality disorder because they're quite deceptive. They're not like somebody who is up and running and goes bipolar, running up and down.
No.
Those are easy to know, to identify. But these manipulators, these guys are crude, bad, very bad. And
thank you.
Yes, continue, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sentenga. I would say a person who is not in order has got a disorder. Normally, people with personality disorders are like you and me. They're smart, they are organized, they even occupy big positions. But when it comes with dealing with other human beings, they are manipulative, they are con men, they are abusive. You know, all those don't go in one person. But if you find somebody who is very manipulative in the way they do things with you, somebody who is very controlling, yeah, very abusive, they want to be in charge of your life. There is nothing you can do, you know, and they have careers. But when you find them in their own homes, for example, you cannot describe them to their boss. They can be partially in order, sometimes very good achievers, but they treat their fellow workers like trash, and they mistreat them in life very much. So most people with personality disorders do not have empathy in their lives. They have no mercy, and they enjoy seeing you suffering. And most of them can kill and move on with life. When they are at home, they treat the people, their children, their wives, their husbands, very brutally. But when they are with other people, they can be very good. And until you begin to have a serious relationship with them. So then you begin to see their true colors. But most of the people pass around and we don't know until we start interacting with them.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
We have a hand raised, Galaxy J5 Pro. This is, you can ask your question. You are muted. I can unmute you if you prefer. While they're getting ready, I'll read the next question. There's two questions which are linked here. How do we continually ensure our mental well-being stays top-notch over the years and keep supporting those around you, as well as what is the best way to improve my mental health well-being?
Okay, thank you very much. As before I answer that, I want to say, are drugs or therapy for mental? Are there drugs or therapy for mental health conditions? Yes, there are a lot of drugs for different mental health conditions, and it is always good to go, because some of the mental health conditions are triggered by abuse as children. You know, there are early childhood experiences. We call them ACE, early child. Okay, yeah. I call them advanced childhood experiences, ACE. When people mistreat children even before 10 years of age, it shows up when they are adults in one way or the other. Research after research after research is proving that. But if you go for therapy and be able to confront those unpleasant things that happen to you as children, you will be well. You will learn to cope and live with it. If there are things like mood swings, like anxiety, like anger management issues, there are drugs that help you navigate your explosive anger, a lot of anxiety and so forth. So there are drugs and all that. Someone else said, is it okay to sleep, to cry yourself to sleep? I would say that is a coping skill, a coping mechanism that is only temporary. Please address what is making you to cry, because that is where the problem is. If you cry, you have not solved the problem. You have only distracted yourself from what is happening to you in life. Before I talk about how to improve my mental health, someone said, when is it that I should seek help? Seek help immediately. But if you have symptoms that have lasted more than a month, you must run to the next psychiatric clinic and explain what you are feeling. A good psychiatric doctor will help you become better. So some of us have lived with symptoms for years, and eventually you will break down, or you will transform into somebody else as you grow older. So go for help. It's good for your health. So so how do I make sure? Okay, how do I make sure that my mental health is good? How do I make sure that I sustain my mental health? One important thing is that you must surround yourself with a lot of positive-minded people. Negativity is contagious. Negativity dampens your mood. You know, negativity does not give you hope. Negativity is discouraging. You don't try. It does not bring out your potential. It only brings out your failures. So let us begin by who are our closest allies. Sometimes it could be your negative person is your parent, because they are always looking for what is wrong with you. So get out there and look for people, or talk with people that bring out the best in you, that see what is good in you. Another skill that you would do is positive self-talk. When people tell you that you are bad, look in the mirror and tell yourself that you are not bad. Point out something good about yourself. That way you stay above the water. So begin with your own self-talk. Take an inventory of the good things about yourself and magnify those. Of course, there could be evidence. The devil is very good. He gives you evidence of all the negative things that are there with you. But look for the positive things about yourself. Ask your good friend to tell you what they admire in you and magnify those things. Another thing to do is to keep your mental health straight is what you read, what you watch, what you listen to. Those, don't be lied to that the things you do feed our mind. Unfortunately, our minds grab everything that they see. You know, they say eyes have no curtains and ears have no plugs and all that. So they will always pick up all the wrong signals from society. So be careful what you listen to and what you see and everything that you surround yourself with. That way your mental health will be guarded. Okay? Thy word have I hid in my heart that I may not sin against you. Fill your heart with good things. The book of Philippians is a very good book. It says, if things are good, if they are noble, you know, if they are of good things, think about them. Those things that you must think about. Your mind should think of good things, not of bad things. Then exercise. It is good to have exercise. Your mind gets refreshed. More oxygen goes in. Better thinking comes in when you have more oxygen. So exercise, take a walk, do some brisk things. It helps your mind to stay calm and stable. Another thing to do is walk in nature. Nature has a way of speaking and soothing. Keep a pet. It helps you to be empathic, to care, to love. Then you can transmit that to other human beings. To take care of your mental health also, it's good to I will say, treat yourself well. You know, you cannot tell people that you are beautiful if you don't take care of yourself. You must shower. You must eat well. You must cut your hair or make it look nice. Otherwise, the way you feel is usually reflected by the way you carry yourself. So if you want to stay above bar with your mental health, treat yourself well. Don't be selfish, but love yourself enough to be kind to yourself. That's one thing I need you to say. So love yourself, because it is self-love that helps you have a better mental state. There are many other things you could do to keep your mind in the top notch. And then, of course, challenge yourself. Some of you are very good. You stopped reading when you were in university. And after that, you said, with me and books, oh, we are done. Please challenge your head. Give it exercise. Exercise your mind. Physically, you exercise your body, but mentally, give yourself things that challenge you to think. Otherwise, the mind decays with disuse. So you will get mental health challenges if you don't use your mind. That is very good, okay? I hope I've answered that. If there's anyone, please let me, if there's any message to add on that, please do.
There's a hand raised, which will be our last question, unfortunately, but we do have a testimony section coming up shortly. Eunice Sarah, your hand is raised. Do you have a question or contribution?
Yeah, I have a contribution. I just wanted to say that with mental health, there's a spectrum with each illness. Like, so for example, if it's depression, there's a spectrum, and even with personality disorders. So it's not that just because you've got such, or you hear that someone has a certain thing like a personality disorder, that they're all thrown into the same category of thinking. For example, I myself am diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, but others who have the same illness experience things very differently. And I was just a bit alarmed and a bit taken back when we categorize everyone with personality disorders as killers and murderers. That's not completely accurate. There's a spectrum in all mental health, just like with physical health. For example, you can have a headache. I have a headache as well. Our level of pain isn't the same, you know, or any other illness is. There's a spectrum. So I thought, let me just throw that in there. I don't know if you were going to mention it later, but I don't wish for everyone to go away thinking that you experience these illnesses in the same way. There's a spectrum of them, because that also leads people to not seek for help, because then if people have heard that personality disorders are people who have no empathy, as you described, and can just kill anyone and walk away, nobody's going to seek for help, or won't seek for the help they need if they get diagnosed with such a thing, or even share with others, so they'll suffer on their own. So I just want to emphasize that there's a spectrum, and each case is treated accordingly.
Thank you, Eunice Sarah. I was going to clear that you know what, people should not think that if they have been diagnosed with a mental health issue that they are bad people at all. Mental health illness is like any other sickness and should never be stigmatized in any way or another. We have a lot of spectrums in most of the illnesses that people have. And if I'm sorry that came out that clear, that in a very skewed way, but we were trying to explain what a personality order could be. But if anyone has any mental health issue, there is help that can help the people live adaptively within the communities within which they are. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contributions so far. I think we're having a very beneficial conversation here, and we've learned a lot so far. We're going to move into our testimony section, and we have some number of people who are going to have some testimonies that they will give us the real life examples and to take us through any particular issues they've had, or any situations they've been in and how they've been able to address the situations. So this is your time. Please start with the testimony section, please. Thanks.
Hi everyone. So basically this section is, as my brother explained, his testimony. So we've picked 4 people from different environments or different lifestyles and surroundings that they have, with a mixture of ages as well. So they will tell you their own experience that they've had with things that happened within the last year or even past that, around COVID or any other areas that they want to touch on in terms of how it's affected them. So the first person will be Teta. Teta, if you can unmute your line, and then after that will be Ivan, and then after that will be myself, and then after that will be Shiza. So we'll go in that order, and please keep them brief and to the point. Thank you very much. So Teta, then Ivan, then myself, and then Shiza. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's Tessa Rukasana. So for the testimonies, I would like to just quickly say something before these guys start. Before I give it to Shiza to speak about her first year experience in university. So uni hasn't been easy, obviously, lately with a lot going on, and us having to do lectures online. Like my most recent experience, I would say, is like this Friday we had an assignment due in, and we started doing it. But when it came to Monday, we realized one of the branches in Coventry, that one of the branches for Coventry in London, they leaked the assignment earlier on, so they had to cancel the whole assignment and give us a new one, and we only had like 4 or 5 days to do it, which was a bit all a mess because it was all online. So I just thank God we managed to get through that. So Shiza is going to take you through the first year experience that she's had so far.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well today. So I'm just going to be discussing some of the struggles that I've faced as a first year coming to university. So, and what I've done to overcome this. So when joining university, I had a complete different idea as to what I would be experiencing. Obviously, you know, you have this whole idea that once you come to university, you'll have all this like independence, freedom, you know, and you know, we normally experience this thing called Freshers Week, and for thousands of university students across the country, that would typically involve, you know, nights out and making friends and just getting to grips with like your new surroundings. And obviously, due to COVID, that hasn't been able to happen. Although I don't stay in accommodation, this pandemic has definitely stifled like the normal university life, and you know, like having the rule of 6 makes it difficult for like students living together, but Mandy will touch upon that. So I began this year being in school like 5 days a week and only going, and now I've had this massive transition to where I'm only going into school once a week and everything else has been online. That shift has been so drastic, and like just having to adjust to that has been really, really hard because, you know, it's one thing, you know, being at home, but it's another thing being in an environment where you're not even around people you know, and you just kind of have to get on with it, you know. So this pandemic has also had a major impact on teaching and how lectures are carried out in campuses world nationwide. And you know, to combat that, all I've been trying to do is just basically constantly ask teachers to go over things, something that you could easily just brush up on if you were, you know, face to face, and just ask them to come over to you and just explain something briefly or talk to them after the lecture. I've had to email them, and them getting back to me in like a couple of days time. Sometimes, you know, it just creates this massive shift in my learning. Fortunately for me, I joined university having already known a few people. I knew like Teta and Teta Mandy. So I haven't struggled so much in terms of making friends. However, making friends within my course has definitely proved to be difficult as a first year, as I'm unable to really interact physically with other colleagues or attend like different clubs such as ACS, that would ultimately enable me to find friends with the same interests. So, and the one time a week I am in university, that's strictly for learning purposes. So that's definitely taken its toll on me as well, and it's just created that pressure of like, how am I gonna be able to fit in? Like, will I ever find friends aside from obviously the friends I have around me already? Another thing is, since I've not been able to attend church, I mean, this is more of like a general thing, but I feel like this has impacted all of us, and like our relationship with God, I feel like it's not as strong as it would normally be. And I feel like now it's kind of enabled me, or kind of almost forced me to just go back to the basics of studying my Bible. So currently, like whenever I'm feeling like spiritually, mentally, or even like physically weak, or like I feel like everything is just getting so much for me, there's a verse that I've been kind of getting by, and it says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And that comes from Isaiah 41, verse 10. And I feel like that's just something small that I've kind of had to get me by for the times I'm not able to be around my family or around my friends. And, you know, mentally, I feel like it's hard, but it is getting easier. I feel like we're finding ways to combat this. I think at the beginning of the year it was really crazy, but now, slowly but surely we're finding our ways around it, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you. I'm gonna now pass it on to Mandy, who's gonna talk about life as a second year.
Well, thank you, Shiza. Um, Hi guys, my name's Teta Mandy, and I'll be speaking on how Corona has affected second year students, or like normal students in general. So first of all, like all our lectures are now online, and this basically gives the students less motivation to wake up and actually go to lectures. So most of the students end up attending lectures in bed, which is not ideal, but yeah, and they don't end up taking notes. So that's one of the issues with the whole online thing, because last year we had lectures on campus, and it made it easier because you can ask your lecturers questions. But right now, like if you try to contact your lecturers by sending them emails, it's so much harder because they take so long to reply. So let's say you have like an assignment to do and you want to ask questions of how like you can do your assignment. It takes them a longer time to reply to you, which is not ideal. So the whole online lecture is not the one. And at uni last year, we had like societies to help people engage and get to know each other. So last year we had like an East African society where we met like other fellow East Africans, had fun, like came up with ideas and everything. But this year we don't have, well, it's there, but it's online, so it's not the same vibes. Sorry. So it's harder to like socialize and meet new people. And also this makes this makes sorry, can you hear me? Yeah. This makes it harder for new students to meet other people, like people who came to uni without knowing other people. It makes it harder for them. Also for other people who play sports and everything, the football clubs and everything have been closed, so it's harder for people who like football, gym, everything. It's harder for them to be active, so they're more isolated. So people end up watching TV and like staying indoors all day. um Another issue is when you're with your families at home, like you can't really visit people now because the transport and everything.
Are you guys still there? I think there's some connectivity issues. But thank you very much from the university perspective. And now I would like to move on to Ivan, and then I'll finish it off.
Happy Sabbath, everyone, and can you hear me by any chance?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, all right. I want to talk from the perspective of international students and some of the issues they face, particularly myself as well. Some of the issues I faced within my coming, even when within this COVID times, is the communication aspect, in the sense of you come from different backgrounds, and sometimes it might not even be that we are coming from different backgrounds, but at the same time, understanding what the messages is. So literally here, it's more of going there and checking the messages on websites and understanding it, as opposed to someone guiding you and telling you on what to do, or what to do next after every step. So in that regard, some of the issues I want to try to be as brief as I can is that in this COVID time, I got held up here within the COVID pandemic lockdown. So I wasn't able to return home. So I had to apply for a COVID immigration extension, which was free of charge. And moments later, it came with some provisions inside, whereby you can switch your visa or your current status to a study or work visa, provided you have all the needed requirements. So I started following up my school stuff, and like I said, I applied and everything went well. And from May until the intake was in September, so I kept on talking to the school, and because everyone was working from home, they could still go away with it, and they would say, we are having an issue, we can't get back to you on time, but when in a due time we'll have to talk to you. So while I was having all these multiple extensions and still contemplating on traveling back home in August, just before, like 3 days to my end of my extension, the school gives me an conditional offer, and they tell me, you're going to start getting ready, prepare yourself. We want to make sure that you start school in September. And I'm in the middle of, the communication that is given to me. I reply to them on what next, what should I do? Because it looks like I have little time to make many things to be cleared. And normally there's certain processes you have to first clear to get what we call a CAS. They didn't get back to me for all that month. So it was upon myself to think outside the box and apply for another extension rather than traveling back home. So like I said, the communication has been so much poor. I don't know for you, some of you, like the relevant officers you talk to, not just the school, even the home office itself, they don't give you, they tell you they will get back to you in 5 working days, but they get to you after a month. And there's nothing certain of what is going to come out or when they will communicate to you. So I wait for about a month. I still stay behind. And while I'm there, still seeing what I'm waiting for a result from the school, at the same time waiting for a result from the home office, here comes, they give me an extension of one more month. So I realized now this is the point now I need again to press the school to see if I can get my my confirmation of acceptance so that I can start my September intake. And I definitely had to pay my tuition deposit, which I did. So within that same period of time, the school said you have to prepare a bank statement. You need to show us a bank statement so that we can enroll you very fast. And literally, it's a communication which literally I should have got, or I should have known at least 2 months prior to this. So, and in that, for those of you who know what a bank statement is, you have to show it. It has been on for at least for the last 28 days. So I had about 3 days, if not 2, to come up with a huge bank statement of about 20,000, 20,085 pounds. And to me, it was a very, very sickening situation. And I say, where is it gonna come in this little space of time? And I said, you know what, I might not necessarily, because I had some little money personally, but it was nowhere close to come up with a figure. So as since we're talking about mental health and we are in such a situation that is just bigger than yourself, but not bigger than our God. And given that we are Christians here, we need to realize and know whatever we do, situations are always going to come, not because you are more ready to it, or you have the capacity to attend to it, but it's a situation that comes to you and think in a sense of like, well, why this is a single-handed situation that is bigger for me and can be bigger for anyone else, not myself. You utilize what do I have as what has God blessed you with. Say, this is the point now. I have multiple friends and I have multiple engagements that I do attend to. So I talk to different people, the church, the youth, my other friends, my inner circle friends, and luckily and gladly enough, within the 2 to 3 days, the amount was met and went far beyond. So I needed only 20,000, it went to 23,000. So that's something I can thank God and thank all the people. However, it's not a testimony that has fully come out. It's still in process. We're still having some other engagements. But on the other hand, I can advise to my fellow young people, international students, and all other youth here at large, that you shouldn't always feel like you're already gonna be able to come up with a solution for every problem. There are problems that can come and they're far bigger than yourself. It's not bad for you to go and seek help. In fact, if you really know the situations this is when God has to manifest himself than any other situation. It's not always that you're going to have simple problems that you can easily put your hands on. So with those few words, I would have loved to go ahead, but because of the interest of time, I would hand over the mic to David.
Hi guys. Right, so I'll tell you a little bit about my experience, mainly between this year, during the COVID times. So I usually work from home. So I work in security, cybersecurity. So my job, I'm used to being out with a client. So number one, during COVID, that all stopped. I couldn't do any client meetings face to face. So I was stuck at home. So I usually work from home 2 days a week. So I had my own setup. So I had my own laptop, I had my own desk, and I have space for that. So it was already accommodated for. But the only thing I think kind of affected me was the point where I couldn't actually go outside. So I am very active. I go to the gym. I like to visit friends. I like to socialize. And I couldn't do that, right? I had to stay at home. And like Auntie here was saying about exercising, it's good to exercise. For me, a gym is a kind of a therapy where I can go, put my headphones in, exercise, get the stress out of the day, and then come back and just relax. So that was taken away from me. And now I was like, oh, so what am I gonna do with myself? Because luckily I stay with people. I don't stay by myself. So I can always speak to them and we can always socialize. But it's as the flip side, say for example, I would be in meetings with some families, some young families or some families in general, that they live, like say they live in a flat and let's say they have 2 kids or 1 kid. And sometimes when I'm in these meetings, I can actually hear like the kids in the background. So I guess for them, they would have a different experience with me. So we always have to bear with them and stuff, because we have to think, because there's kids in the house, they're trying to work and they're trying to feed their kids at the same time they're trying to teach their kids. So the productivity for me kind of went down automatically. So it was kind of hard to push a lot of things to get through for work to be done. I had to juggle things. I didn't really get used to it because I'm more of a extrovert. I like to go outside. I like to see people. I like to socialize. And that kind of affected me, because once you have one thing that you like to do, which is like I said, the gym, exercise, and your well-being, once that's taken away, then you're kind of lost. Your life is kind of lost because you don't know what to do. So you end up just eating, or you end up just watching TV. I think that's why Auntie said it's very good to start reading. So one of the things that I started to do was read. So I picked up a lot of books. I went to Amazon, bought a lot of books and just started reading, trying to refresh my mind. And then I have a bike. So I started cycling in the evenings as well, which was really good to get fresh air. This was during like the summertime. So it was really good. The air was really fresh and stuff. So you have to just find things to do. And at the same time, during like further on in the year, there was another lockdown in the UK, but that one was more eased out. But it was a bit colder, so I couldn't really cycle as much as I wanted to. But yeah, I guess you have to find things that will entertain your mind and get you going. Like a lot of people said, oh, try pick up another language or try start cooking. There was a time when I was doing a lot of cooking as well. So I guess you have to find things that you enjoy. That's the key thing. You can't just say, oh, now it's time to, I don't know, do something, and then in your mind you can't do it, because if it wasn't for lockdown you wouldn't do it anyway. But I think lockdown was the time for you to start getting creative and start saying, oh, I haven't done this in a while, let me do this. And then so you see the negative of the situation and you try and flip it to make it a positive. For example, there was some like say if you haven't cleaned, you can do spring cleaning, or you can just pick up little tips and tricks, which will be really good for you and your mental health. So now that the gyms are opening over in the UK on Wednesday, so I'll be going back there, and again, it will help refresh my mind and put my mind at ease. So yeah, those are just like little tips and tricks. But yeah, my mental health was kind of challenged a bit as well, either in work or my personal life. And also I had my family. So my family lived quite close to me. So I had my family, and my brother came down as well from London. He stayed with us. So again, it's always good to have family around you that you can talk to. Pick up a phone. Like there was times where I used to call people that I never called in a long time. And then we caught up that way. I remember there was even like Zoom parties. Some people had birthdays during the lockdown. I remember there was a lot of Zoom parties going on. There was a lot of like bingo games going on. So those sort of stuff was what kept me going, really, and kept me sane in my brain. So yeah, so it's good to pick those different things and just learn from it and pick up a new skill. Yeah. So just lastly, as I close, we would like to thank Auntie here for the time that you've taken out, and also for the people that have participated, and also everyone else that has presented. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking your time out. I know you're from your busy schedule. And yeah, no, thank you very much. I don't know if you have, and also to the organizers of the program as well, my dad and the wider team. Thank you for that as well. And I don't know, Auntie, if you wanted to say something.
I just want
And
to say,
oh, sorry, and Elvis as well. I forgot to mention Elvis. Thank you very much, Elvis, for your support on this. It's good sometimes to get those stats and actually realize that this is affecting us, especially within the Black community. People don't like to admit it, but there is mental health within the Black community as well. And it tends to get frowned upon saying, oh yeah, Jesus, only if you pray, Jesus can help you. But sometimes it takes more than prayer, it takes a bit of application and exercising and stuff like that. And speaking to people, getting therapy. There's a lot of church people that are actually professionals in that area that you can speak to them and apply those principles that they've told you and get the network of people to support you as well.
thank you very much for hosting me. I am glad to talk about mental health. It is the core for everything. So should we have any challenges, even if they don't have to make you so uncomfortable, go for help at the first instance before the one day anxiety turns into a big panic attack. It would be nice to go for help wherever you are. When people are pushed to levels of depression and suicide, things have gone very far. We tend to blame many people for depression. We tend to blame them for committing suicide, but they are mentally sick. Today, we did not talk too much about mental illness. We were talking about maintaining our well-being mentally. So mental illnesses have their own area, and maybe one day we'll discuss about them. God bless you all. May you have a mind, because He has not given us a mind of fear and anxiety. He has given us a mind of courage. So let's look up to Him in everything we do. Thank you very much, and God bless you so much.
Oh, just before you drop, Uncle Sam wants to say something as well.
Thank you very much, Dave. We want to express our sincere gratitude to Sister Ruth Matoya for your wonderful presentation. That was really, really nice. Today's lesson for the adults, they talked about sharing lives. And it's always wonderful to see young people and adults, a few adults, sharing their lives. And so I was so much impressed by the way young people express their feelings during these hard times. I want to, in a special way, thank Dev, because Dev, you've done a good job as one of the coordinators of the program. We want to thank Elvis, who was one of the presenters, Elvis Matoya. You did a very good job. Well done. I want to thank Sam, the young man from Canada, who sang a wonderful song. Well done, Sam. I don't know if you're still there. And to Diana, who did a wonderful job as he was a moderator at some point. I also want to express my thanks to young people who shared their experiences. We have Shiza, we have Teta Mandy, we have Ivan, and of course you, David. So you did a very good job to share your experiences, because one of the ways from the Christian perspective, it is to learn from one another. And so we were able to learn from you. Once you have gone through an experience, then those who have come after you will definitely know the roads that were not straight, and they can try to avoid the potholes. And so well done, thank you so much. Now to Sister Ruth Matoya, I just want to thank you so much for spending a lot of time to prepare wonderful materials. Of course, as some of you have mentioned, the fact that this program has been organized by the church, it is one of the ways the church can contribute to these problems of mental health. This is also part of the solution, and it is organized by the fellowship. And so to Elder Peterson and to Sister Ruth Matoya, I want to express my sincere thanks to you all for what you've done. Because the more we come to listen to one another, the more we can learn. The more we ask questions, that is very important. I know that the audience was quite big. At some point, I think we had about 74 people. Yeah. And that would mean that if we had more than one, assuming we had more than one, that is quite a very big number, maybe over 100. I don't want to put it as double, which is like over 140. But I know that, of course, that was quite a very big number. So the fact that you spent a lot of time to come and attend, to me, that is part of the solution. To young people, maybe who miss out on these programs, that is part of the problem. In our culture, in Kinyarwanda culture, they say that the only person, what you can only advise yourself, of course, I can't put it the way it is expressed. In Kinyarwanda baravuga ngo umuntu yigira inama gusara. What that means, it means that if you cannot talk to anybody else and you just resort to advise yourself, the best advice you can give to yourself is like going crazy. So that means once we get a chance to talk to others, to listen to others, that is part of the solution. So to those who have spared some time to come and attend, well done. And I want to say, keep it up. Now, in this country, we've got BT, which is British Telecom. One of their slogans is, it is good to talk. So that means once we are having areas of concerns within our lives, it is good to talk. Don't just go in your own corner and be quiet, but come out, talk to somebody, talk to a friend. And so, Sister Ruth Matoya, thank you so much for sparing some time to share with us all those areas. And to the rest who have spared some time, and especially the area which you mentioned as part of the solution, I know that maybe it is not one of the areas that people in mental health try to advise, but since we are Christians, I want to emphasize the point of being closer to our God. Yesterday, we had a wonderful presentation from one of the speakers from Rwanda, and he gave an example, those examples that you cited, people like when people disconnect themselves from God, that is when problems start happening. And so I want to encourage young people, once we get connected to God, chances are most of these problems will be minimized, because there is no way we can disconnect ourselves from God and things go right mentally. So I want to say, even most of the people in the Bible who had issues, they had disconnected themselves. For example, Judas is one of the people that you cited. People like Peter and the rest, whenever they disconnected themselves to God, they had issues. I also want to encourage young people to read books. There are some nice books on positive thinking, because we try to reflect on our own thinking without knowing what other people are thinking. So if we cannot meet people physically, it might be a good idea to meet them through the books they have written. Some of those books are very encouraging. And so we want to encourage young people to read so that we can understand the minds of other people as well. In that way, we can be helped. We can think outside the box, as David has just mentioned. So once again, I want to say thank you to everyone who has participated in this program. It is wonderful to share our lives, and may God continue to bless you, Sister Ruth, for what you are doing in the community, in our churches. And it is by sharing these solutions that where there is a big burden, it can be lightened. So thank you so much, and God bless you. I hand over to either Dave or Elder Peterson.
Thank you very much, Elder Sam. We've learned a lot here, and I'm sure this is just the beginning of the conversation. Mrs. Matoya, can you give us the closing prayer, and we can end this session and finish, and then announcements will soon follow after that.
Okay. Me?
Or Elder Sam can do. You can do the closing prayer if you can, please.
Okay. Let us pray together. Our dear loving Father in heaven, we are so grateful for your love and mercy. We thank you for wonderful opportunity that we have had this afternoon. It was a wonderful presentation from Sister Matoya and various speakers who shared their lives. Father, we pray that, Lord, all of us as young people, as adults, we may be connected to you. It is only when we disconnect that the Lord will start having problems, whether mentally and sometimes to some extent physically. And so, Father, help us, because you are the healer. You can heal our minds. Father, we pray for young people that every time they go out, may you continue to guide them. Give them guidance as they're in uni. For those who are working, continue to bless them. And even for the parents, may you continue to bless the parents as they help young people as well. Let your will be done in our lives as we look forward to your soon return. It is our humble prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right. I also take this opportunity to thank everyone for what you have done. This has been very successful and has been correctly said. So, Mrs. Matoya, we cannot say much. I think everyone has said what they have to say. Thank you very much. So, may I also announce that tomorrow, if you sit on the board, there's a flyer. Tomorrow we have a very important event at 4 p.m. UK time. The Jonathan Rutaganira, whom you know very well, has been man behind the computer, behind the Zoom. We are lucky to have him tomorrow because he has vast experience in what he's going to present. That is about rebranding and interview skills. This is something that he has a passion about. This is something that during the COVID time, maybe we are not doing very well. Maybe we are not setting ourselves very well in order to get good jobs. Not that Elder Jonathan has jobs to give, but he has skills to give, to share with us. He has vast experience in this area. He has interviewed for Morgan Stanley, where he worked for over 19 years. Where he is at the moment, he's the president, vice president. You have seen that. We'll give an extensive introduction tomorrow. So please don't miss tomorrow afternoon, and maybe the US will be a bit early, it will be said about 11 a.m. But the rest of us, we need to be there this tomorrow afternoon and bring friends who are not in here, invite them, because this is going to be very nice in the times like these where we need to have those skills, equipped with those skills, and we like to have these people who can equip us with these skills. So may God bless you. Very proud of you young people who have turned up. God bless you. And let's meet again tomorrow afternoon. God bless you and stay well. Thank you. You can now unmute and greet each other for about 10 minutes at least. Just unmute, say hi to each other. Let us see those faces which are hiding. No? Those that want to go, they can go. Yes.
Hi, Sister Lucy.
Hi, Betty. How are you?
Hello. I'm fine. Thank you. How are you? Nice to see you again.
It's a pleasure.
Bye.
Hello.
Hi, Auntie Betty.
Hi. Hi, girls.
Hi, Auntie.
Ah.
Ruth.
Hello. How
Hello.
You should have sung. You didn't know you were there.
All right, everyone. Have a good evening.
Can't hear.
Bye.
Hi. How are you?
Sabbath. See you next Sabbath.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Madam, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We have enjoyed.
Welcome. Naona mama na
Thank you.
Tuko hapa zote. Thank you so much, Elvis.
I want to preach like you.
So,
Thank you.
Welcome. Is it
Yeah.
another? Yeah, I can
What did you
see.
say? What did you say, young lady? You want to preach like her? Oh, that's nice.
Oh,
I said I want to preach like her.
oh,
Oh, you
that's
could preach like her.
is this.
Oh, who is that?
Shania.
Shania. Ah, that's nice.
Yeah.
So, madam, because somebody wants to be like you.
Yes, I can see. Chania, you're welcome. You'll be a good girl.
Yes.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. God bless.
Msalimie mzee Auntie Rusi.
Thank you very much.
For sitting room huko.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. We truly appreciate what has
The
been
opportunity.
shared.
God bless you. Yes.
Okay.
Bless.
so much.
Bye, God bless
There are
you
some
too.
people are still coming in, but tell them the session is over.
Poleni.
There are some people who still want to come in to join. They need admission, but now it is. What can we say? The session is over.
And younger
Yes,
people who
Anna.
presented, thank you so much, but we didn't see your faces. It is really sad,
Yeah.
but yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for presenting.
Sharon, are you
Like
there?
imagine they want me that I should not say that I should show their faces.
Why not? Sharon, are you there? Sharon Lutzinda. Okay, hopefully this recording will be shared on our YouTube so that everyone can have a share. The same thing with tomorrow. So if you have missed out.
It's still live though.
Elder Peterson, the YouTube, it will be there. You don't have to share it. If people go on now, they'll actually see it. So I'm going to stop the YouTube live broadcast. But if people go there,